For years. That's how long Chloe Bennett and I had been together. For years of late-night pizza, cheap apartments, and dreams we built together like they were made of something solid. When we finally get our own place, Chloe said one night, curled up on my couch, "I want a balcony, even a small one." You already told me that. Twice this week I laughed. Because you keep forgetting, Ethan. I don't forget. I just like hearing you say it. She smiled and threw a pillow at me. That was us. Simple. Easy. Or at least, that's what I believed. I met Jordan Ellis in college, and somehow he became the one person who never sugarcoated anything for me. We were sitting at our usual diner booth when I told him Chloe and I were talking about moving in together. "You sure about that?" Jordan asked, stirring his coffee slower than necessary. "What kind of question is that?" "I don't know, man. She's been weird lately." "Weird how?" "Distracted. Busy. Always at work. She has a demanding job, Jordan. Everyone has a demanding job. Doesn't mean everyone cancels plans 4 times in a month." I shook my head. "You've never liked her." "That's not true. I just noticed things you don't want to notice." I didn't say anything else. I just paid the bill and left, telling myself Jordan was overthinking things the way he always did when it came to people getting close to me. But if I was honest with myself, even back then, something had shifted. Chloe used to text me good morning every single day. Now some mornings passed in silence until noon. She used to ask about my day first thing when she got home. Now she'd walk in, kiss my cheek, and disappear into the bedroom with her phone. "Everything okay?" I asked her one evening. "Yeah, why?" "You seem tired lately." "Stressed. Work's just a lot right now. New project. New boss expectations." She didn't look up from her phone when she said it. "You know you can talk to me, right?" "I know, Ethan." She finally looked at me and smiled, but it felt thinner than her usual smile. "I'm fine. Promise." I wanted to believe her. I needed to believe her. For years builds a kind of trust that doesn't crumble easily, or so I thought. The following week, we had plans to see her parents for dinner. She canceled an hour before. Something came up at work. "I'm so sorry." "Again." I know. I'll make it up to you." "Chloe, this is the 3rd time this month. Are you keeping count now?" Her voice sharpened, and I backed off immediately, hating the tension that had crept into something that used to feel effortless. "No, I just miss you, that's all." "I miss you too. I'll be home late." "Don't wait up." She wasn't home late. She wasn't home until almost midnight, and when she walked in, she smelled like a restaurant, not an office. "Long day?" I asked, trying to keep my voice light. "You have no idea," she said, kicking off her heels. "Client dinner ran forever." "Which client?" "Does it matter?" She laughed, but it came out strange, almost nervous. "I'm exhausted, Ethan. Can we talk tomorrow?" I let it go. Again, I told myself I was being paranoid. I told myself Jordan's warnings had gotten into my head. I told myself 4 years of love didn't just disappear because someone got busy at work. Jordan called me 2 days later. "You free tonight? Want to grab a beer?" "Can't. Chloe's finally free tonight. First time in weeks." "Lucky you," he said, and something in his tone made me pause. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Forget it. Have fun." I almost asked him to explain himself, but Chloe walked into the room right then, wrapped in her robe, hair still damp from the shower, smiling at me like nothing in the world was wrong. "Who was that?" she asked. "Jordan." "Tell him I said hi." "I will." That night felt normal again. We ordered Thai food, watched a movie, laughed at nothing in particular. For a few hours, all my doubts felt ridiculous. I remember thinking, this is why I love her. This right here. This ease. Chloe fell asleep on the couch before the movie ended. I carried her phone off the cushion so it wouldn't slide onto the floor, planning to just set it on the coffee table. That's when the screen lit up. A message from a name I didn't recognize. "Marcus Reed. Can't stop thinking about last night. When can I see you again?" I stood there frozen, the phone glowing in my hand, my heart slamming against my ribs like it already knew what my mind refused to accept. For years, every warning Jordan gave me, every canceled dinner, every late night, every distracted smile, it all made sense now, all at once in the worst possible way. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the dark kitchen until sunrise, staring at nothing, replaying every canceled dinner, every late night, every distracted smile. When Chloe woke up, I was still sitting there, her phone on the table in front of me. Ethan, what are you doing up so early? Who's Marcus Reed? Her face changed instantly. All the color drained out of it. Ethan, I can explain. Then explain. She sat down slowly across from me, wrapping her robe tighter like it could protect her from what was coming. How long have you had my phone? That's not the question I asked. Ethan, how long, Chloe? She looked down at her hands. For months. The number hit me like a physical blow. For months. While I was planning our future, buying a ring I hadn't even shown her yet, she was building a whole other life behind my back. For months, I repeated, my voice flat, like saying it twice would somehow make it less real. It just happened. I didn't mean for it to. Nothing happens for 4 months by accident, Chloe. She flinched but didn't deny it. Marcus makes me feel like I could actually have the life I want. The travel, the house, not worrying about every single bill. So this is about money. It's about more than money, she snapped, then softened just as fast. It's about the life I always pictured for myself. And I'm sorry, Ethan, but you were never going to give me that. I felt something crack inside my chest, sharp and sudden. 4 years, Chloe. For years. And you're telling me I was never enough? I didn't say you weren't enough. I said you couldn't give me what I wanted. Same thing. She didn't argue that point. She just sat there, silent, letting the truth sit between us like something rotting. My mind drifted, unwillingly, to a dinner 2 years earlier at her parents' house. Diane Bennett, Chloe's mother, had pulled me aside in the kitchen while Chloe set the table. Ethan, sweetheart, what exactly is your 5-year plan? Diane had asked, stirring a pot of sauce without looking at me. I want to grow in my job, save up, eventually buy a house. A house. That's nice. She'd smiled, but it never reached her eyes. Chloe's used to a certain kind of comfort, you know. Her father worked very hard to give her that. I understand that. Do you? Because love is wonderful, but love doesn't pay for vacations in Italy. I remembered laughing it off at the time, telling myself Diane was just protective, just old-fashioned. But sitting in my kitchen now, watching Chloe choose comfort over 4 years of loyalty, I understood exactly what Diane Bennett had been planting in her daughter's mind the entire time. Does your mom know? I asked quietly. Chloe looked up, surprised by the question. What? About Marcus? Does she know? She's actually really happy for me. Of course she was. Diane had been waiting for this moment for years, waiting for Chloe to trade me in for someone who could give her the life Diane always said mattered most. Say something, Ethan, Chloe said, her voice cracking slightly. Please. I opened my mouth, but nothing came out first. My chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped everything out of me and left only an echo behind. I don't even know who you are right now, I finally said. I'm still me. No, the Chloe I knew wouldn't have done this. Wouldn't have lied for 4 months. Wouldn't have let me talk about rings and apartments while planning her exit. Her eyes filled with tears, but I felt nothing except numbness spreading through my body, cold and heavy. Marcus can give me security, she said. Real security. I would have given you everything I had. I know, she whispered. That's the problem. It just wasn't enough. I stood up so fast the chair scraped hard against the floor. I walked into the bedroom, grabbed the closest bag I could find, and started shoving in whatever clothes were within reach. My hands were shaking, but my mind felt strangely calm, like I was watching myself from somewhere outside my own body. Ethan, where are you going? Away from here. Can we at least talk about this like adults? I turned to face her one last time. You didn't want to talk like an adult 4 months ago when you started lying to me. Don't ask me to start now. She said something else as I walked past her, but I didn't hear it. I didn't want to hear it. I walked out the door with one bag, no plan, and a version of myself that no longer existed. The street outside felt unfamiliar, even though I'd walked it 100 times. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. Somewhere behind me, in the apartment I used to call home, Chloe Bennett was choosing a different future. And for the first time in 4 years, I had no idea what mine would look like. I stopped counting the days after the first week. Time didn't mean much anymore. I missed 3 shifts at work, ignored calls, and let dishes pile up in the sink of the small motel room I'd been living in since I walked out of Chloe's apartment. I told myself I just needed a few days. A few days turned into 2 weeks. Jordan Ellis showed up on a Thursday, banging on my door like he had every right to. Open up, Ethan. Go away, Jordan. Open the door, or I'm kicking it in, and my knees aren't what they used to be, so this is going to be ugly for both of us. I opened the door. He walked in, took one look at the empty bottles on the table, and shook his head. You look like garbage. Thanks. Really needed to hear that. Someone needs to say it. He sat down across from me. You missed 3 shifts, man. Your manager called me because you're not answering your phone. Why would he call you? Because I'm listed as your emergency contact. Genius. Remember? I didn't remember. I didn't remember a lot of things clearly those days. I don't want to talk about it, Jordan. I don't care what you want. You're going to talk about it because I'm not watching you disappear over someone who didn't deserve 4 years of your life. You don't understand. I understand plenty. I watched her lie to your face for months while you defended her to me. I'm not here to say I told you so. I'm here because you're my best friend, and you look like you haven't eaten a real meal in a week. I laughed, but it came out hollow. I haven't. See, that's the problem. My phone buzzed on the table. Emily Cole's name lit up the screen. I almost let go to voicemail, but something made me pick up. Ethan? Finally. I called you like 6 times. Sorry, Em. I've been dealing with some stuff. I heard about Chloe. Mom told me. Her voice softened. I'm so sorry. Yeah, me too. There was a pause on the line, and I could hear her hesitate before speaking again. Ethan, I hate to even bring this up right now, but I really need to talk to you about something. What's wrong? I might lose my apartment. Rent went up again, and after my hours got cut at the restaurant, I don't know what to do. Guilt hit me instantly, sharp and immediate. My little sister was drowning, actually drowning in real problems, while I've been sitting in a motel room, feeling sorry for myself over a relationship that ended because someone chose money over me. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because you had your own stuff going on, and I didn't want to add to it. Emily, you can always add to it. Always. I'm your brother. I know. I didn't want to bother you while you're going through a breakup. I looked around the motel room, at the mess I'd let myself become, and felt something shift inside me. I'll figure something out for you. I promise. Just give me a few days. After I hung up, Jordan was watching me carefully. She okay? Financial stuff. Rent. And you're sitting here drowning yourself in whiskey over someone who lied to you for 4 months. It's not that simple, Jordan. It's exactly that simple, Ethan. You just don't want to admit it yet. Later that night, after Jordan left, the silence in the room felt unbearable. I stared at my phone for almost an hour before I finally picked it up and scrolled to Chloe's number. My thumb hovered over the call button. Maybe if I explained things differently. Maybe if I told her I could change, that I could make more money, that I could give her the life she wanted somehow. Maybe if I begged. I pressed call. It rang once before someone grabbed the phone right out of my hand. Jordan, give it back. No, it's my phone, give it back. Not when you're about to beg someone to take you back after she cheated on you for 4 months, Jordan said, ending the call and setting the phone face down on the table, far out of my reach. You'll thank me tomorrow. You don't get to make that decision for me. Someone has to, because right now you're not making good decisions for yourself. I wanted to argue, but the truth of what he said settled over me like a weight I couldn't shake off. He was right. I knew he was right. Even his anger and heartbreak fought against the logic of it. I sat there long after Jordan left, staring at the ceiling of that cheap motel room, thinking about Emily struggling to pay rent, about Jordan risking our friendship just to keep me from making a mistake, about the version of myself that used to have direction before Chloe Bennett walked out of my life and took my sense of purpose with her. Somewhere around 3 in the morning, something inside me finally settled. I wasn't going to call Chloe again. I wasn't going to beg for a life that had already chosen someone else. I was done spiraling, done drowning, done waiting for a phone call that was never going to come. It was time to start rebuilding, even if I had absolutely no idea where to begin. 2 weeks after Jordan pulled that phone out of my hand, I found myself at a small diner near my new apartment, the cheapest place I could find on short notice. I was exhausted, distracted, and moving through my new job like a ghost. When I turned too fast with a full cup of coffee, it spilled straight onto the man sitting behind me. I am so sorry, I said, grabbing napkins off my table. Let me get you something to clean that up. Relax, kid. It's just coffee, not acid. The man laughed, wiping his sleeve. He looked to be in his 60s, sharp eyes, calm voice, the kind of person who seemed unbothered by most things life threw at him. Still, let me buy you a new shirt or something. Sit down instead. Let's talk. Better use of your money than a shirt. I'll spill something else on eventually. I hesitated, but something about his tone made me sit. I'm Ethan. Ethan Cole. David Grant. He extended his hand. You always walk around looking like the world just ended. Or is today special? I let out a short laugh despite myself. That obvious? Kid, you've got recently wrecked written all over your face. I used to see that look in the mirror plenty of times. Rough breakup, I admitted. She left me for someone with more money. David nodded slowly, like this wasn't new information to him. And you've been punishing yourself for it ever since. Something like that. What do you do for work? Warehouse job right now. Nothing exciting. You like it? Not particularly. Then why are you doing it? Bills don't pay themselves, David. He smiled, leaning back in his seat. Fair point. But there's a difference between working to survive and working toward something. You strike me as someone who's just surviving. You don't know me. No, but I know that look. I built 3 businesses from nothing, kid. Failed twice before I got it right. You know what saved me the 3rd time? What? I stopped feeling sorry for myself long enough to actually build something. Something about the way he said it hit differently than anything Jordan or Emily had told me. Maybe because he was a stranger with nothing invested in my feelings, just blunt honesty. What would you even suggest I build? I don't have money, connections, any of that. Neither did I. You have time, though. And apparently, you've got nothing but heartbreak weighing you down right now, which means you've got nothing left to lose. We talked for almost 2 hours that day. David told me about his early struggles, how he started a small logistics company with borrowed money and no experience, and lost it all twice before finally succeeding. He asked question after question about what I liked, what I was good at, what I'd do if failure wasn't a factor. I don't know, I admitted. I've spent the last 4 years planning a life with someone else. I don't even know what I want for myself. That's actually a good place to start, David said. Most people never even ask themselves that question. Before he left, he slid a card across the table. Call me sometime this week. I mentor a few young guys informally. No charge, just conversation and a little guidance if you're serious about changing direction. I called him 3 days later. That's when everything slowly started shifting. David taught me about discipline first, waking up early, reading an hour a day, tracking spending, small habits I'd never bothered with before. He introduced me to basic business concepts, how to spot opportunities, how to think in terms of value instead of just income. You're not just rebuilding your bank account, Ethan, David told me one afternoon. You're rebuilding who you believe you are. Around that same time, I started a new job at a marketing firm, something Jordan pushed me toward using a connection from college. My first week there, I met Sarah Mitchell in the break room, struggling with the coffee machine. This thing hates me, she said, hitting the side of it gently. Sometimes you gotta hit it a little harder, I said, stepping in to help. Oh, thank God. I was 2 seconds from throwing it out the window. She laughed, watching me get it working. I'm Sarah, by the way. New here too. Ethan. Also new. Well, Ethan, you just earned yourself a coffee buddy for the foreseeable future. Sarah didn't know anything about Chloe, about the 4 years, about the humiliation of being replaced by someone with more money. To her, I was just Ethan, the new guy who fixed the coffee machine and made her laugh during boring meetings. It felt strange at first, being seen without any history attached, but it also felt like breathing after being underwater for weeks. You seem like you're somewhere else sometimes, Sarah said one afternoon, catching me staring blankly at my computer screen. Bad breakup. Still processing it, I guess. Well, for what it's worth, whoever she was, she clearly wasn't paying attention if she let you go. It was such a simple comment, but it stuck with me the rest of the day. Between David's mentorship pushing me to rebuild my mindset and Sarah's easy kindness reminding me I was still someone worth knowing, something inside me that had been completely shattered started, slowly, to piece itself back together. I wasn't the man Chloe left behind anymore. I was becoming someone new, someone I was starting, cautiously, to actually respect. 6 months went by faster than I expected once I actually had something to focus on besides my own heartbreak. My side business, a small consulting service helping local shops improve their online presence, had grown from a single client David Grant referred me to into 11 paying clients and a waiting list. You doubled your client base in 2 months, David said, looking over my numbers at our usual coffee spot. That's not luck, Ethan. That's discipline. Feels surreal saying that out loud. Get used to it. This is just the beginning if you keep showing up like you have been. I still work my job at the marketing firm during the day, but every evening and weekend went straight into building something that was mine, something no one could take from me through a lie or a betrayal. Emily called me on a Tuesday night while I was finishing up a client proposal. Hey, you got a minute? Always. What's up? So, this is probably nothing, but I ran into Chloe's cousin at the grocery store today. My hand paused over the keyboard. Okay. She mentioned things aren't great with Chloe and Marcus. What do you mean, not great? Apparently Marcus is controlling. Like, checking her phone, telling her what she can and can't wear, that kind of thing. And there's rumors he's been seeing someone else too. I sat back in my chair, letting that information settle. 6 months ago, news like that would have felt like vindication, like the universe finally balancing the scales. Instead, I just felt tired. Ethan, you still there? Yeah, sorry. Just processing. Are you okay? I wasn't sure if I should even tell you. No, I'm glad you did. I don't feel as happy about it as I thought I would. That's probably a good sign, actually. Means you're not stuck in the same place anymore. After I hung up with Emily, I sat there for a long time, thinking about Chloe Bennett choosing Marcus Reed over 4 years with me, only to end up controlled and possibly betrayed by the very security she thought she was chasing. Part of me wanted to feel satisfied. Another part just felt sad for the version of Chloe who used to laugh at my terrible jokes on that old couch. I mentioned it to Sarah the next day during lunch. You look like you're somewhere far away again, she said, sliding into the seat across from me. Got some news about my ex last night. The one who broke your heart. That's the one. Good news or bad news? Bad news for her, I guess. Turns out the guy she left me for isn't exactly a prize. Sarah studied me carefully. How do you feel about that? Honestly? Weird. I thought I'd feel like celebrating, but I mostly just feel done thinking about it at all. That's actually really healthy, Ethan. Feels less dramatic than I expected. She laughed. Real growth usually is. It's not this big explosive moment. It's just quietly not caring anymore. Over the following weeks, Sarah and I fell into an easy rhythm that had nothing forced about it. We grabbed lunch most days, texted about nothing important, and somehow those small, consistent moments meant more than any grand gesture Chloe and I ever had. Can I ask you something? Sarah said one Friday as we walked out of the office together. Sure. Why haven't you tried dating anyone since the breakup? Honestly, I've been focused on rebuilding. Business, myself, all of it. Didn't feel right dragging someone into that mess. That's actually really mature of you. Or really avoidant. Jury's still out. She laughed, bumping my shoulder lightly. For what it's worth, whenever you do decide you're ready, I don't think you'll have trouble finding someone. Is that your professional opinion? That's my personal opinion, she said, smiling in a way that made my chest feel lighter than it had in months. Later that night, going over my business numbers before bed, I thought about how different my life looked 6 months after Chloe walked out with barely a backward glance. I had a growing business, a mentor who believed in me more than I believed in myself some days, a best friend who refused to let me drown, a sister I was actually helping now instead of the other way around, and Sarah, who saw me clearly without any of the baggage Chloe left behind. Chloe Bennett was somewhere across town, apparently trapped in a relationship built on the very thing she thought would make her happy. I was here building something real, brick by brick, without her. For the first time since that morning I found Marcus Reed's message on her phone, I realized I wasn't just surviving anymore. I was actually rising. A month after Chloe walked out of my office, I still thought about that conversation sometimes, not with sadness, but with a strange sense of closure. Turning her down hadn't felt like revenge. It hadn't felt like punishment. It had felt like finally choosing myself after years of choosing everyone else first. You did the right thing, Sarah told me over dinner one night, weeks after I mentioned the encounter to her. Doesn't feel dramatic enough to be the right thing. Felt pretty quiet, actually. That's usually how the right thing feels, she said, smiling over a glass. Not everything has to be a big scene. My business had grown faster than I ever expected. What started as a single client David Grant referred me to had turned into a full consulting firm with 3 employees and a client list I could barely keep up with some weeks. I'd finally left my job at the marketing firm 2 months earlier to focus on it completely. "You built something real, kid," David said, sitting across from me at our usual coffee spot, though these days it felt less like mentorship and more like 2 friends catching up. "I'm proud of you. Not everyone bounces back the way you did. I had a lot of help. Sure you did. But you're the one who showed up every single day, even when you didn't feel like it. That part was all you." David had become more than a mentor over the past year. He was there for small milestones, big decisions, and the quiet moments in between where I needed someone who believed in the version of myself I was still becoming. Sarah and I had grown just as naturally, without any of the rush or performance Chloe and I once had. We didn't plan grand gestures or force timelines. We just kept showing up for each other, honestly, consistently, without pretending to be anything we weren't. "You know," Sarah said one evening, "I've never once had to guess where I stand with you. That a compliment? Biggest one I've got." On the 1-year anniversary of my business, Jordan insisted on throwing a small celebration at my apartment. Nothing fancy, just close people who mattered. To Ethan, Jordan said, raising his glass, who I genuinely thought might not make it out of that motel room a year ago, "Thanks for the vote of confidence," I laughed. "I'm serious. You built something incredible out of the worst year of your life. That's not nothing." Emily hugged me tightly before dinner. "I still can't believe how far you've come. And thank you again for helping me with rent last month. I don't know what I would have done. You'd have figured it out. You always do. Still, means everything, Ethan." Sarah sat beside me most of the night, laughing with Jordan about old stories, helping Emily set up dessert, fitting into my life like she'd always belonged there. David stopped by briefly too, raising a glass before heading home early, the way mentors do when they're proud but try not to make too big a deal out of it. Later that night, after everyone left, Sarah stayed behind to help me clean up. "Good year?" she asked, drying a plate I'd just washed. "Best one I've had in a long time." Even with everything that happened at the start of it, I thought about that question honestly before answering, especially because of everything that happened at the start of it. She raised an eyebrow. "Explain." "If Chloe hadn't left, I never would have met David. Never would have pushed myself to build something of my own. Never would have ended up at that marketing firm, fixing a broken coffee machine for a girl who had no idea who I used to be." "So you're saying I owe Chloe a thank you card?" I laughed. "Let's not go that far." She smiled, setting the last plate down before turning to face me fully. "For what it's worth, I'm really glad things happened the way they did. Selfishly, yeah. Yeah, because it led you here. To this life. To us. Standing in my kitchen that night, surrounded by the quiet mess of a celebration well spent, I thought back to the man I used to be, sitting frozen at a kitchen table with Chloe's phone glowing in my hand. I thought about the motel room, the missed shifts, the moment Jordan grabbed the phone out of my hand before I could beg for something that was never truly mine to keep. Losing Chloe Bennett had felt like the end of everything at the time. It had felt like the worst thing that could have happened to me. Now, a year later, surrounded by people who showed up for me honestly, building a life I was actually proud of, I understood something I couldn't have understood back then. Losing her wasn't the tragedy I thought it was. It was the push I needed to finally become the person I was always meant to be. I was reviewing a client contract at my desk when the receptionist buzzed my line. "Ethan, there's a Chloe Bennett here to see you. She doesn't have an appointment." My stomach dropped. "Send her in." Chloe walked into my office looking different than I remembered, thinner, more tired around the eyes, though she'd clearly dressed carefully for this visit. She glanced around at the space, small but mine, before finally looking at me. "Wow, look at this place." Jordan wasn't exaggerating. "You talked to Jordan?" "No. Emily's cousin mentioned it to my cousin. Small world, right?" She laughed nervously. "You look good, Ethan." "What are you doing here, Chloe?" She sat down without being invited, smoothing her skirt with hands that weren't quite steady. "I heard about the business. Consulting firm, right? Growing fast, from what I hear. That's not why you're here." She exhaled slowly. "No, you're right. It's not." "Then why?" Marcus left me. She said it flatly, like ripping off a bandage was easier than explaining slowly. 3 months ago, actually, turns out he was seeing someone else the whole time. I'm sorry to hear that. And strangely, I meant it, even if the sympathy felt distant, like feeling bad for a stranger's bad luck. Are you? Because I keep thinking about everything, Ethan. About us. About what I threw away. Chloe, let me finish, please. Her eyes were glassy now. I made the biggest mistake of my life, choosing Marcus over you. I thought money meant security. I thought status meant happiness. I was wrong about all of it. I sat back in my chair, letting her words settle without responding right away. I know I don't deserve a second chance, she continued. But seeing you now, seeing what you've built, I can't stop thinking about what we could have had if I hadn't been so stupid. Does your mom know you're here? I asked, the question surprising even myself. Chloe blinked. What? Diane, does she know you're sitting in my office right now? Why does that matter? Because I remember a conversation with her years ago about 5-year plans and vacations in Italy. I remember exactly what she thought love was worth compared to money. Chloe's face flushed. That's not fair. My mom doesn't control my decisions. Doesn't she, though? You left me for someone who could give you the life you wanted. And now that he's gone, you're back here, checking to see if my life looks successful enough to reconsider. That's not what this is. Isn't it? I leaned forward. Be honest, Chloe. If I was still working that warehouse job, barely scraping by, would you be sitting in this chair right now? She didn't answer immediately, and that silence told me everything I needed to know. I came here because I still have feelings for you, she finally said, quieter now. Maybe you do, but feelings aren't the same as choosing someone, Chloe. You already showed me what your choices look like when things get difficult. People change, Ethan. I've changed. Maybe, but I've changed too. And the person I am now doesn't need to relive 4 months of lies just to prove something to myself. Tears slipped down her cheeks, and part of me, the part still tangled in old memories, wanted to reach across the desk and comfort her the way I used to. But a stronger part, the part David Grant helped me rebuild, stayed perfectly still. So that's it? She asked. You won't even consider it. I'm not doing this for revenge, Chloe. I'm not trying to punish you or prove I'm better than you now. I genuinely hope you figure out what actually makes you happy someday. But you won't give us another chance. No, and it's not because I hate you. It's because I finally understand something I didn't understand 4 years ago. What's that? Growth doesn't come from getting back what hurt you. It comes from staying far enough away that it can't hurt you again. She wiped her eyes, standing slowly, gathering whatever pride she had left. I really did love you, Ethan, even if I made a terrible mistake. I believe you did, in whatever way you were capable of at the time. She lingered by the door for a moment. For what it's worth, I hope your business keeps growing. I hope you're happy. I hope you find whatever you're actually looking for too, Chloe. I just don't think it's something I can give you anymore. After she left, I sat alone in my office for a long time, staring at the closed door. There was no anger left in me, no bitterness, just a quiet, settled peace I hadn't expected to feel. I hadn't needed revenge to feel whole again. I hadn't needed her downfall to feel validated. All I needed was distance, time, and the willingness to build something real without waiting for her notice. For the first time since that morning I found Marcus Reed's message, I felt completely free.